Hello, Malik Currington here, Family Budget Fisherman. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Well, I have completed 25, 25 hours on the water with this rod. And when I say 25 hours, I mean 25 hours actually fishing this rod. I can now give you as complete a review as I can. So, let's get started. That kayak is something else. He dumped the kayak. Got the swim bait. It weighs about a pound and a half. But the kayak is gone. There we go. Not bad. Nice. Okay. As I mentioned, I can give you a much better review of this rod combo than I could have given you beforehand. I spent 25 hours fishing this rod, sometimes by itself, sometimes with the Defy series rod with the Creed GT 3000 spinning rod paired with it. And they were the only two models that I had switched back and forth with from time to time, or there were times when I was just having just this one. I have it, this was already paired with, because you buy it as a combo, it was already paired with the Fate. This is called the Creed FT spinning reel. And of course, again, this is the Fate series rod. This is not the Fate version 3 that's separate from. This is the Fate combo. And it is a sub $100 combo. And let me tell you three things about it that I love. It is a beautiful looking combo, period. Number one. Number two, watch this. Now I know this shouldn't be here, but watch this. That's at least a size 10. Right there, at least a size 10. Okay. The hook keeper on the back, as I mentioned. It is a beautiful looking rod. And The foam is a black foam that looks good with the rod itself. So it's a beautiful rod. I have the fishing line is the Field and Stream. Is it 8-pound or 10-pound test? I can't remember which it is. Oh, 8-pound test, which is a 6-pound diameter. It looks pink back there because I had some old fins fishing wind tamer braided line, and I used it as a backing. It did not really matter to me that it looked pink. It didn't compromise my casting. And so, by the way, I have enough on there. I tend to leave a quarter, an eighth to a quarter of an inch underneath my spool. There were some people who actually told me that I didn't have enough fishing line to make the best cast as I possibly can. I threw this rod at comfortably between 30 and 35 yards, mostly throwing either a 1/16, 1/8, or 1/4 ounce bait. I did throw some, I stayed within the rating. This rating went up to a 5/8. I think I threw a couple of 3/8. I don't think I actually got to a half, but I threw a lot of 3/8. As a matter of fact, I threw the spinner baits. I threw some diving baits, some crankbaits, some lipless crankbaits, etc. I threw a lot, but I spent a lot of time doing power finesse and finesse. I'm not going, not gonna lie. I enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, this Berkeley model, their answer to Kitech on there. I caught so many fish with this. On the Kitech itself, the 3.3, I threw it and caught some nice sized fish as well. I did throw some top water on here, done well on the top water. I can recommend this rod for a good number of you who are out there. The only thing that I did not throw on this rod was braid. I didn't throw any braid, and the main reason why is because this rod, the inserts, I don't know if you can hear that noise. See, when they make that noise right there, that tells me that they can fail. And that was one of the downers of this, that some of the guides can be loose. I trust it better when I'm throwing fluorocarbon or throwing mono, as I have mono on here. Throwing braid is a whole different beast altogether. Now, there are some of you who have told me in the comments section that you've thrown this with braid, and I applaud you for doing that. But I must admit, those of you who are commenting about how often you use this combination, you need to spend a little bit more money and get a better combination than this. And I'm just saying that because while this was a great price point, there are techniques, there are qualities of the more expensive rods, say the Omen, for example, that you're going to get a better fishing experience out of that as an experienced fisherman than you will out of this. Now, having said that, this is like one of the best first cars you could ever get. It's one of, I'm not saying it is. It's a really, really good first car if you're going to get a value car. Now, there are some people who are wealthy enough where their family's wealthy enough where their first car is a BMW. We're not talking about that. In this case, we're talking about, oh, it is a Poison Adrenaline. It is an NRX. That's like my first vehicle. No, my first rod. I'm talking about those of us who helped our children to buy vehicles. I have 4 adult daughters, helped all 4 of them buy their vehicles, their first vehicle, and some their second vehicle. And we didn't go out there and buy top dollar, but good, reliable. And this is a good, reliable combination. The way it performed, I was impressed with how it performed. I was impressed how they kept the fish pinned. I was impressed with the sensitivity and the response. There was so much to be impressed about this rod here that I would say, if you are a beginner up to a familiar fisherman, that means you're probably not going to fish more than once a month, maybe twice a month for a short run, but you're taking fishing seriously. This is a good rod for you. I definitely recommend it for the beginner fisherman. And I'd also mention that the bearings inside here, after a good number of uses, I mean, I threw this thing thousands of times. Like I said about the other rod, I threw it thousands and thousands of times over a 24-hour period. And I don't mean obviously one 24-hour period. I might have went out 2 hours one day, 3 hours another day, did a 5 hour another day. But when I went out and fished for accumulating that 24 hours, I only went with this rod. And I mean, I threw it for that amount of time. The bearings in here, especially when under load, and I think one of our subscribers mentioned that, one of the friends of the channel mentioned that, and we were having a conversation back and forth, and I said I would bring that up. Sometimes every now and then you'll hear the bearings make a little noise. I personally think that it may be because there's not as much gear oil these days, and this goes even for the expensive model reels. You have to check. Sometimes they do not sell these with the gear oil in the reel. And you need to pull this off and check the gear oil, or just add a couple of drops. I mean, you can't well, let me say it this way. I haven't heard of an experience where you put too much gear oil in where the bearings are, or where you put the gear oil in, and you're having anything more than a mess. I mean, it doesn't affect the performance of the reel that I'm familiar with. Now, if you have a different experience, please share that with me in the comments section below. But I think that's where the noise comes in. It did not, in my case, affect the performance of the combo. However, it is annoying because you know where it's coming from. If you are an experienced fisherman with this rod combination, you know exactly where it's coming from. So I say all that to say you're going to hear it. If you're a beginner fisherman, you're going to hear something, but you probably will not focus on it because it's just not where you are at this stage in your enjoyment of this passion. So I, again, would recommend my overall rating for this rod combination, definitely a 9 out of 10 for a beginner fisherman. And you could take advantage of some of the offers and get this rod combination down from the mid 80s, or I think I got it for $80, down to $50 or $60. You can even get it down lower than that if you plan really good, or really well, I should say, not really good, but really well. And if you are an experienced fisherman, move on up to something that's more durable for your specific style of fishing. So I give this a 9 out of 10. I love how this has been constructed. Again, this is a beautiful rod. Again, the performance was stellar. And again, I am impressed that they took the time to put together a rod combination that did not give me very many problems. Now, another potential problem with it in terms of performance, it's not as sensitive as an Omen or an Envy. It's just not. But for example, I tried throwing, and I was being a bit eccentric. I threw a jackhammer on this, and I knew I shouldn't have thrown the jackhammer on it. The challenge was this rod, for that particular bait, the jackhammer chatterbait, for that particular bait does not allow it to perform at the level that it should because of the way the rod responds to the bait as it's being retrieved. Now, having said that, this didn't have a problem with the original chatterbait. Go figure. And part of it has to do with the delayed, there's a little latent response. When this rod is under load, it's a little latent. It's not a problem. It's just, no, it's a little latent when it responds. And when it does, it gives the original chatterbait, which also has a bit of a latency in it being, it's starting up as a chatter. It's kind of like having to warm up a bait. That latency, when you have both of them in that latent stage, you don't even notice it, and you can get a better retrieve because of the latency of the both of them. That also works when it comes to the lipless crankbaits in particular, because lipless crankbaits, they don't just start, they need to reach a certain speed. Well, there's a latency here, there's a latency there, and it actually, that little tiny bit of time allows that bait to drop sufficiently or move in such an erratic way that it gives the sense to the fish that I better eat it or leave it. And so I did notice those things. It performed fantastically when it came to swim baits, soft reaction baits. When it came to finesse style baits, I loved it. So if you are out there and you are looking for a rod to begin your fishing career with, or you are looking to give this to someone who is going to begin their fishing career or fishing passion, I recommend this Fate combo wherever you can get it from. I don't know what retailer you're with. I personally think that Dick's Sporting Goods will probably give you the best deal among those who might sell this combination. But in your local tackle shop, you may get a better deal than what Dick's may offer. So take a look at it, look at your relationships, and decide for you and your family budget whether or not where you're going to actually make the purchase. So with that, I say, don't do anything, not even buying this, if it's going to break your family's budget. But do everything you can within good ethics and the law itself. Do whatever you are able to do to break your personal best. I'll see you in the next video. Be safe out there in the water, and we'll talk again. Take care.